Warning, warning, this is a spoiler-heavy podcast. If you have not watched every episode of Tsuburaya Productions Ultraman X, do not listen to this podcast. This is a spoiler-heavy episode. You have been warned.
Son.
So here we are once again on the Kaijusaurus Podcast. This is normally the podcast in which myself, Steven Sloss, a lifelong fan of kaiju films, watches and reviews all 30 films in the Godzilla canon with my good friend Ross, who is a blank slate. But that is not the focus of this episode. The focus of this episode is Ultraman X, the series in review. And joining me once again to review Ultraman X is my girlfriend Laura. Hello, Laura.
Hi.
You might remember Laura was last on the show when my friend John and I reviewed the original Mothra, and that was a pretty good episode despite some awful sound problems.
You could not hear me.
But let's hope we sound nice and cool and crisp right now. So anyway, sorry. I'm sure we do. I've not hung up these blankets and robes for nothing. It absorbs sound.
Okay.
So I'm told. Thank you, Yahoo Answers. Anyway, we are here to review the series Ultraman X. Ultraman X is the latest in Tsuburaya Productions' long-running Ultra series. It is the 27th entry in the series. It debuted in July last year, and it was the first series in the Ultraman franchise to be simulcast in English along with the Japanese broadcast via Crunchyroll, the online anime and Japanese drama streaming service. So thank you, Crunchyroll, that was super cool of you guys. And to make it available in full HD as well. Yes. Crunchyroll. So I think we can just jump right into this, Laura. Do you have any opening thoughts or comments on Ultraman X?
Well, this was the proper first Ultraman series I'd ever watched. I'd seen about half of Ginga, and I'll tell you, this was quite
What did you think of Ginga?
It was, well, I liked Ultraman Taro, but I didn't really love the rest. Ultraman Taro was the best part.
And we'll leave it at that.
We will leave it at that, yes. I don't remember anyone else's name. How did it take place in a school?
Budget. Lack thereof.
Okay.
So anyway, Ultraman X. So yeah, you say this is the first Ultraman series you've seen properly from start to finish. You said you've seen some of Ginga. You've seen things, different parts of different series here and there. I think you've seen some of Ultraman Max. You've seen some of Ultra 7. Obviously this is just when you've been in the background and I've been watching it. And
is Ultra 7 the one where he runs into the camera?
Yeah, he runs into the sunset in the series finale.
Yeah, that will stick with me for the rest of my life.
Spoilers, everyone. Contextless spoilers. Anyway, I'm glad you watched this all. Laura and I have been together since we were 15 and we're 23 now. And this is the first Ultraman series you watched from start to finish with me. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
No, I've not pushed you actually, have I?
Have I? Maybe.
So, what do you think of the series?
I really like the series. I'm not gonna lie, it's not something I think I would ever went out my way to watch. But I did really like it, and I liked how extreme maybe some parts were.
That's fair to say, yeah.
And it was just all round fun to watch on a Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah, Tuesday was kind of our Ultraman X day, wasn't it?
It was.
The premise of the show is that 15 years ago, the Earth was coated in ultra flares, which awakened spark dolls. So you might remember spark dolls from Ultraman Ginga and Ultraman Ginga S, but I think it's fair to say they're used in a much better capacity in this show. They're much better used in this show. And so spark dolls have awoken, which awaken giant monsters and kaiju. To combat this, the Defense and Research Force ZEO, or Zio, or Exio. I'm going to say Zio.
I always said Exio, but now I realise it's probably Zio.
I'm going to go with Zio.
I think it's Zio.
Zio have arisen to combat the threat and research it. And part of this team Zio is one Daiichi Ozora, who lost his parents during the Ultra Flare disaster under mysterious circumstances. They disappeared in a building right before his eyes. But they were researching spark dolls. And they made sure we knew that fact because they told us again and again.
And we got to see that memory so many times.
Again and again. Where was I? So yes, it's Daiichi's dream that hopefully one day humans and monsters will be able to coexist. But one day I think it's called the Iron Molten Monster or something, Demaga, appears. And you're looking at me really confused. One day Demaga appears and ushers in a new age of monsters. And as Zio appeared to be overcome, a light appears before Daiichi, and before he knows it, he's bonded with Ultraman X. And from then on, X and Daiichi are bonded together. Daiichi can transform into X to defend the Earth from monster and alien threats. Meanwhile, trying to work towards coexistence. I summed that up quite well.
You did.
I
couldn't have done that.
Could have done it better, but this'll do. So, do you have any standout points or anything you want to discuss? Or, I mean, any favourite episodes, things like that? Or
I have many favourite episodes.
Okay, good.
One being the rugby one. That's literally what I wrote down on the notes.
Episode 9, We Are Nebula.
That was a great one. I mean, what? I mean, the plot of the episode is, I think it's Wataru's brother. I don't think I'm saying that right.
Wataru, yeah. Wataru's brother.
Wataru's brother wants to quit rugby and then lives with 3 middle-aged men who turn out to be bumbling aliens. And then, I don't know how they managed to get muddled up in some sort of
space crime syndicate thing,
and then they challenge them to a game of rugby. It's a bit like Space Jam, if I'm honest.
It's exactly like Space Jam. Only minus the soundtrack.
One thing I'll say is Ultraman is not needed in that episode.
Yeah, that's like one of these episodes where like Ultraman X doesn't really figure into it at all, except for becoming when all the aliens turn giant at the end and he has to fight them all.
He doesn't really need to be there.
I thought it would have been funnier if they had a giant game of rugby.
That would have been pretty good.
And they used like, I don't know, like a boat or something as the rugby ball. And the crew's still in the boat.
The rugby one was pretty special. I really liked that.
See, that is on my list of favourite episodes too. It's
sometimes you need a light, funny episode to just
oh no, I totally agree.
Enjoy.
And there was just like some of the harshness. I think like when some of the good aliens were down, the other bad aliens are like kicking them and punching them. And
and like pile driving them for the sake of it.
See, I really liked the first episode, A Voice from the Starry Sky. I thought that was just a really strong introduction episode, and it's just a kind of classic Ultraman starter episode. Like it throws us into the world and the story without being too heavy or anything, and lets us know who our characters are and who our characters are going to be, and and like the special effects in it are great, and like it was nice to see Demaga was a new monster with a new suit, because that's been something that's been kind of lacking.
Oh, I didn't realise he was a new monster.
Yeah, he's new.
Oh.
That's something that's been kind of lacking in the Ultra series in recent years. Another episode I really liked was episode 5, when the Aegis shines. And that was the one with Ultraman Zero.
Oh yeah, that was a good one. I loved that one.
Because not long after that, I showed you the Ultraman Zero movie.
Who was the guy I liked? Was it Greg Star? Firestar?
Oh, Glenfire.
Glenfire
was great.
Love him.
Yeah, he's great.
When is he coming into the show?
I'd be happy for Glenfire to come back. But the Ultraman Zero episode was great, and I thought it was really funny. Like we had this alien Knuckle. Alien Knuckle first appeared in Return of Ultraman in 1971, and he crucified Ultraman Jack. And
that's quite intense.
Now in this, he's Ultraman Ultraman, Alien Knuckle Bandello, and he's got like a Clint Eastwood poncho, and he does Wild West stuff. And it's really funny. And then Ultraman Zero just appears and kicks the shit out of him.
I like that Ultraman Zero appears, beats the shit out of him, and then says to Ultraman X, "Yeah, you can't join me because I can go through dimensions because I'm better than you."
Yeah, because I have a sick armor.
Yeah. Bye.
And X had just left there like,
my friend.
Okay, mind your friend. And of course, that was the episode that gave us the Ultra Selfie.
An important moment in Ultraman.
In TV history.
Definitely.
Any other favourite episodes of yours?
Well, you know this obviously, but Pigmon is my one true favourite character.
Is that in Ultraman or just all of fiction in general?
I don't know. Him and Jet Jaguar are on the same level, I think.
Tune in soon, where Laura will be on the Godzilla vs. Megalon podcast because she's insisting, because she loves Jet Jaguar.
It's a really good film.
It is a good film.
It's really funny.
I think it's underrated. Anyway, the Pigmon episode. What episode is that? Do you have it in your notes? Or it's okay if you don't.
I just put Pigmon and then a smiley face.
That was the episode where the monster Gisura wakes up, I think. The big kind of aquatic...
Oh, the big whale thing.
No, that's Kibura. I'm sure the Pigmon episode had Gisura in it. I mind it was a big kind of scaly, fishy, reptilian, amphibious thing.
I think you mean, yeah.
I'm sure that was the Pigmon episode.
But Pigmon is something that when me and Steven had first started going out, I went into his room and spotted it as a little figure, and I thought it looked so funny. And
well, I think your first reaction was more like, "What the fuck is that?"
It was, because I did not know you were into kaiju.
Yeah, that was a surprise for you.
Thought there was one Godzilla film. I was very wrong.
Laura thought there was one Godzilla film. Let's not incriminate her further by letting you all know which one. But yeah, I agree. Like the episode with Pigmon was really sweet, and I got really upset when it looked like he was dead. And you know what was really sad as well? Like his little cave, his little house cave.
Oh, because he had like loads of little toys from people who left him.
Like a little teddy bear and a little football. And when it looked like he died, the men who were mean to him saw the error of their ways. And Laura's tearing up as I describe this. And saw the error of their ways and went back to his little cave and cleaned it up.
It's just really nice.
It is nice. But you know what bothered me about that episode?
What?
Do you mind when Pigmon appears in the centre of town and causes a ruckus and there's a
Yeah.
balloon salesman? Why is the balloon salesman dressed as a minion? Like, I mean the animated character's minions. He's wearing...
Wait, what?
I'm being serious. That's what I thought of immediately.
Oh.
The balloon salesman... Dry those tears. It's okay.
I can't... You know I can't hear things like that.
Don't get Laura talking about the Disney film Dumbo. Anyway, the balloon salesman is... He's got a pair of blue dungarees on and a yellow t-shirt.
Maybe he's just a big fan.
He's dressed as a minion!
Maybe that's how he sells balloons.
Maybe there's just a big Minions fan at the Tsuburaya Productions wardrobe department.
Yeah.
Just like how there was clearly a Back to the Future fan who helped build the sets. Because in the episode... I think it's episode 5 and 6... No, it's episode 6 and 7. The two-parter with Teru, the man from Planet Gold. And... Go Gargon, I think the monster's name was. There's a little DeLorean in amongst the cars on a miniature set. That's super
really cool.
But yeah, the Pigmon episode was really sweet.
It was really sweet. It reminded me very much of My Neighbor Totoro.
Yeah,
you know,
I think I remember you saying that.
Little girl moves to a kind of countryside house and befriends some sort of giant monster.
Yeah, just like a friendly monster.
Yeah, a friendly monster. And it's really sweet. And Pigmon skipping and playing football was super cute.
And at the end, he's got a little bandage on.
Oh.
Because he hurt his head. But he's okay. And he's going to have many wonderful memories with the wee girl.
Oh, that's so lovely.
Another episode I really liked was episode 10, The Monster Won't Move.
That's the one with the mountain.
That was that's right. I thought that was a really nice one. The one where this sort of docile, gentle monster just appears in a sort of countryside village, and they end up turning it into a sort of tourist attraction. They sell T-shirts and like food based around the monster and that sort of thing. And the mayor's obsessed with like keeping the monster there and getting revenue from it. And I think the mayor really looks like Mr. Taco from King Kong vs. Godzilla, and I think that was deliberate because both characters are kind of wanting to profit off of a monster. Anyway, yeah, I thought that episode was just really sweet because again it features like a new suit, a new monster, which really benefits these episodes. And again, I thought it was a really sweet resolution that the monster became a mountain, and the implication being that the other mountain at the scene was the monster's friend or mate hundreds of years ago.
No, it was his dad.
Was it the father?
Yeah, it's his father.
Oh, right, okay.
And then it was his grandfather, and that's how it went.
That's right, yeah, you're right.
So it was his whole family. He just wanted to be with his family.
Yeah. No, you're right, I remember now. Any other episodes favourites, or...?
I have put handheld camera, so I assume that means
Yeah, that's one of mine as well.
I can't remember what the actual episode's
Episode 16, Feature Report, 24 Hours Inside Zeo.
Yeah, that was really fun.
It's like Ultraman Cops.
Yeah, it was like Ultraman Cops, but mixed with The Office.
Like
kind
awkward
of like
interviews.
Yeah, awkward interviews. It would almost be like if The Office really existed. Like, you know, you're not going to get a paper salesman who's so ready to divulge half their life in front of camera. And I think that was what was really interesting about the handheld camera approach to that episode, is that, you know, they're not often going to be interviewed for how they defend the planet. So they are going to be awkward and not really know what to say.
Stunted, yeah.
Yeah.
And like a little bit secretive too.
Yeah, like when he's about to change into Ultraman and the cameraman says, like, what's that?
Yeah, where are you going? Yeah.
And he's like, bye.
Yeah, who are you talking to? Yeah. And that was really funny when they tried to get an interview from X himself.
Yeah.
But that was one of my favourites too. That was just, again, it was a lighter episode and it was really funny. And then they bust like an alien crime syndicate who are like shrinking humans and selling them in jars. I was like, whoa!
That actually could have been quite an interesting dark story.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously I don't think they're going to do it because that's quite dark for Ultraman. That's quite
What is
show.
essentially a kids show. Yeah.
But gotta admit, would have been quite an interesting episode, right?
No, I agree. Another that was the episode with
The big whale.
Gubira. I think that's the monster's name. The big kind of
narwhal thing.
Narwhal with a
that
drill
was a poor
horn.
monster.
Yeah, that monster never looks very good. It's a really stunted kind of suit and a design. It doesn't. Ugh. Yeah.
It doesn't lend
It
well.
should have. That's a monster from the original Ultraman series, and it probably should have stayed there. My last favorite episode was episode 20, Bond Unite, and this was the crossover episode with Ultraman Nexus. I loved this episode.
I put that down too. I put
Good.
that down as well.
I love this episode so much because, I mean, I've been an Ultraman fan for a good few years now. I remember torrenting Ultraman Nexus as it came out in 2004, and then waiting for fans to subtitle it and get it out there. I remember TV Nihon subtitling it and UltramanNexus.com subtitling it, and I've watched the series loads of times, and so Ultraman Nexus as a series was very formative in my becoming an Ultraman fan, and like seeing Nexus again in both its Anfans and Junus modes, and seeing Nexus again create its sort of temporal zone that it uses to fight monsters, and even just the return of the Space Beasts. Space Beasts were sort of that's the term used for monsters in Ultraman Nexus, like the kind of more ferocious, more kind of deadly, specifically man-killing, man-eating monsters.
They were horrible.
They were horrible, but it was kind of weird to see them in Ultraman X, because Ultraman X is a much lighter series than Ultraman Nexus, and to see these horrible, gruesome monsters just like picking off humans.
Yeah, that wasn't nice.
But I thought it was so good that Vice Captain Tachibana became Nexus, because the whole shtick of Ultraman Nexus as a character is that sort of the Nexus chooses a host who is kind of worthy, And I think in the series Ultraman Nexus, there's 4 hosts throughout the run of the show, and a further one in the film that comes before it. And to see like Tachibana chosen to be the latest Dunamist, as the term in Nexus is, was so good. And I thought it was so sweet that she, being separated from her family who live in Canada and she lives in Japan, being separated for their own safety, the first thing she does when she's Nexus is fly to Canada and defeat a monster that's threatening her family. That episode was so good.
And I mean, she does that and immediately regrets it, in the sort of sense of like honour and tradition.
And like professionalism,
Professionalism, that you should not be doing that, especially in her position.
Yes, saying that.
So she tries to resign, and like what I really like is the captain. It's the captain. Isn't it?
Yeah, Captain.
The captain
Kamiki. Yeah.
Kamiki. He just kind of shoots her down. Like, no, that's. Why would I?
Any of us would have done the same.
Any of us would have done the same.
Yeah, but I like that bit of characterization that she kind of almost reprimands herself for putting what she perceives to be her own interests before her job.
I thought it was really interesting.
Yeah, and I mean that might...
Nice bit of character development.
Yeah,
because up until now, maybe somewhat in the handheld camera episode, you didn't actually get to see very much of her doing very much.
No, she didn't really get an episode, did she?
No, so this was... This was nice.
Until the Nexus episode. No, I agree. That might have been my favourite episode of the whole series. I was just so pleased with it. Although having said that, I also loved episode 8, which was X in Peril, which featured Ultraman Max.
You did love that. You were really excited.
Ultraman Max, I know I've just ranted and raved about Nexus, but Ultraman Max is my favourite Ultraman series, even more than Nexus. It was just great, like seeing Kaito back as Max was the icing on the... was the cherry on top of the... what's the phrase?
The cherry on top of the cake.
There we go. He was that.
It doesn't feel
like...
that
doesn't... icing on top of the... Anyway, it was very good to see Kaito back as Max, because in recent years it's been sort of more of a thing to just bring back the Ultramen themselves and not really their hosts, which is nice, but it kind of feels like half the bargain. So seeing Kaito back, the same actor again, as Ultraman Max was just such a treat. And my only regret with that episode is that when Max first transforms, they don't use the Ultraman Max theme song. Because that would have been great if he transformed for the first time in 10 years and it just burst in with Max, Max, Max. I would have loved that.
Do they play that at all in the episode? I cannot remember.
No, they play some of the instrumental music from Ultraman Max, which is better than nothing.
They do it in the remix, in the recap.
In the recap,
the remix.
Yeah, in the in the recap episode, they play the Max theme, which is better than nothing. So yeah, I think we're done discussing favourite episodes, are we? Or
yeah.
Cool. So the next subject we can kind of move on to is if we have any standout or favourite monsters or aliens or enemies from the series, that sort of thing. I mean, I've already mentioned I really like Damaga and the alien Knuckle Bandello, and I briefly mentioned Gargorgon, but I mean, do you have any favourites from the series?
Pigmon, obviously.
Well, obviously. I mean, that goes without saying.
I can't remember this monster's name, so I've just wrote Corn on the Cob.
Red King.
You
know what? I think you're actually partly responsible for starting something of a Tumblr meme within the admittedly like very small Ultraman fandom on Tumblr. Because you know what I'm talking about, don't you?
I do.
When
he does look like a corn on the cob, though.
Let me explain. About maybe about 16 months ago or something, whenever it was Crunchyroll first started streaming Ultraman Max, I watched the series again, and Laura was present when I watched the two-parter that takes place on the island full of monsters. And when she saw Red King for the first time, she said, "That guy looks like Korn." And I thought, shit, you're right, because I hadn't thought that in like 10 years. That thought had never crossed my mind, that Red King looks like a giant bit of corn on the cob with arms and legs.
I feel like if someone laser beamed him, he would like spout popcorn.
or he'd just get really crispy and like a bit of
butter.
But
that sounds nice.
So yeah, after we'll make some later. But after you said that, I posted a photo comparison on Tumblr, which is Red King, next to a bit of corn on the cob, and I said, who wore it better? And ever since then, I've just seen people occasionally refer to Red King as like corn, or like angry corn, or giant corn. And so I think you're actually responsible for that. You don't act like you regret it.
I don't regret it because he does look like corn. I don't know why I put him as one of my favourites. I just think he's a cool guy.
Red King is kind of fun, yeah. Like he's slightly overused in recent years, especially his EX form. Do you remember he transforms into the? He's kind of black.
Burnt corn.
Burnt corn. And he's got
barbecue corn.
The kind of big gorilla arms.
Yeah.
Things like
No,
that.
I know.
I really liked Gargorgon, who was in episode 6 and 7, and he fought Teru from the planet Gold. Gargorgon
Yeah, I liked him.
was really cool, and again, a new monster, a new suit, and I really liked that it didn't really have 3 heads, but it had one prominent head and 2 sort of little side mouths. It reminded me slightly of King Ghidorah, not in overall design, but just in the concept, and it was nice to see some real like Tokusatsu wire work. The special effects on Gargorgon were really impressive, and the suit looked great. Like the suit looked really, really good, and so did the suit for the sort of big mech that Teru piloted, the big sort of round mech with the machine gun hands. I cannot for the life of me remember what it was called, but that suit looked great as well.
That was pretty
And
cool.
it was nice to see X fight alongside an ally.
Yeah, who wasn't Ultraman?
That wasn't an Ultraman, or like later wasn't one of the Gamoras.
Yeah.
Any other monsters you liked?
I was just gonna say on Gargorgon.
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 Yeah.
It was really cool because it's obviously a play on Gorgon.
Yeah.
The mythical. It's not a creature, is it?
From Greek mythology. Yeah.
From Greek mythology.
Kind of a Gorgon and Medusa sort of
Medusa.
thing. Yeah. Oh yeah, because X gets turned to stone, right? Yeah.
He's turned to stone.
Yeah.
And how do they defeat him? Kind of a mirror. So.
Yeah, X uses the armor, right?
Yeah.
To reflect Gorgon's. I think X uses the Bemstar armor.
A common thing in Zelda. shield the stuff back at them.
Speaking of Bemstar, no, I'll bring up Bemstar again later. Actually, this won't really mean much to you, but I really liked some of the returning monsters because I liked seeing the returning monsters. Gomez was the monster that was in the episode where the captain's daughter was getting married.
I can't remember what it looked like.
No, it's alright, I'll show you later. Gomez is sort of the first ever Ultra monster. Gomez appears in the very first episode of Ultra Q.
Okay.
And it was made from a repurposed Godzilla suit.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Which is why it looks quite familiar. And I think maybe Tsuburaya Productions only get away with still making new Gomez suits because historically they've had such a good working relationship with Toho, and Tsuburaya Productions was sort of born out of Toho.
Yeah.
But I really liked seeing Gomez again. I like Mecha Gomora because Mecha Gomora had only appeared before in a sort of one-off Ultraman Zero special where it fought Ultraman Zero, called like what's it called? Ultraman Zero Gaiden. It was Gaiden. It's a Japanese term that means side story or outside story. It was called Ultraman Zero Gaiden. I think it was. God, what was it called? Zero versus Darklops Zero, and so Mecha Gomora had only appeared in that, and the Mecha Gomora suit is great again, and it's a nice little homage to Mecha Godzilla, and it was kind of fun seeing Mecha Gomora fight Cyber Gomora. Cyber Gomora, by the way, looks great.
Yeah, he was pretty cool.
I'm really glad they sort of teased Cyber Gomora's appearance. They didn't just prematurely blow their load and introduce it.
That was such a disgusting.
That wasn't the best way to put it, was it?
No, it wasn't.
These podcasts are listed as explicit on the iTunes directory.
Are they?
Because we swear. That has to be. If you swear, it has to be.
Tut, tut, tut.
I know. Anyway, I liked Cyber Gomora. Any other favourite monsters or aliens or?
I kind of liked I liked Gamora on a whole, But I really liked the episode with the really weird monster that was kind of just watching planet Earth. I think you called him M1.
M1, yeah.
He was really
from Ultra
philosophical
Q as
and
well.
trying to.
Yeah. Sorry, I cut you off there.
He was kind of like I don't know how.
He was testing X's morality, wasn't he?
Yeah, that was it.
Because I think one of the things he says to X is that, because this is the episode where they successfully materialize Gamora.
Yeah, and that like shit hits the fan.
Yeah, that was a really immature way to put it, Laura. And and then Gamora goes on a rampage thanks to the Dark Thunder energy, which we'll discuss later.
Yeah.
But yeah, M1 observes this from space and sort of just plucks X out of the action and keeps him in a little jar,
beaker.
a little beaker, yeah. And
it's not called that, but I think it's called a conical disc. It doesn't matter.
And is kind of testing X's and Zeo's morality in keeping the monsters as spark dolls. And I think one of the things he says is something along the lines of, you only allow this thing to exist because you see it's useful to you. And I'll admit, I was just kind of sitting and watching it, and when that line hit, I thought, oof. I came here to have fun.
I was like, oh, this is getting kind of deep. Too deep. Can't swim. No, it wasn't funny. Don't laugh.
Yeah, so M1 was pretty cool. I liked seeing Kasura again. That was the monster in the Pigmon episode. Because again, it wasn't really much of it wasn't really an overused monster at all. And it was nice to see that suit again. That suit had only before been used in a film called The Super 8 Ultra Brothers, which you've seen as well.
Is that the one where they fly away in the ship?
That is the one where in the ending they fly away in all the ships.
Yeah,
and
I remember that.
That's one of the one of the most what the fuck endings I've ever seen in any film ever, let alone Ultraman or Kaiju or Tokusatsu cinema.
I remember you just saying, by the way, they fly away in a ship.
Yeah, but with absolutely no setup or context or anything.
No, nothing.
So yeah, I really liked Holinga as well, which was the monster that wouldn't move. It was in the town.
Yeah, I thought that was a nice sort of
yeah. Mythological?
No, that's mythos. Just mythos.
Yeah. Oh yeah, good one. Good word. And of course we can't discuss aliens or monsters without discussing the good Dr. Gurman.
Love a bit of Dr. Gurman. I don't know if I've tried to spell Gurman or Gamora. Either way.
Because I was worried that like having this big silly alien on the team would be like a bit of a Jar Jar Binks or something, and yeah, I would get really annoyed with its presence. But like after the first episode, I was like, no, I love this guy. If he turns out to be a villain or like gets killed, no. Yeah, Dr. Gurman was hilarious. I thought. I
loved how like immature he was. The fact that he like ate so much Chinese food that he couldn't work.
Oh,
anymore.
That was hilarious. Yeah, and
takeout. Yeah.
And I thought it was really funny when he was using bits of bread to demonstrate dimension theory to Daiichi.
Yeah.
And it says, oh, it appears I've eaten the fourth dimension.
Oh, love Dr. Gurman.
So yeah, any other monsters or anything, or will we move on?
I think we can move on.
Sure. So we'll discuss the characters now. What did you think of the characters and their sort of development? Any standout characters for you, or?
I really liked all the characters. I think Daiichi, maybe, this might be a bit of a controversial opinion, I think he sort of suffers from like first main character problems, because I don't know, I didn't love him. I didn't think he was great. I didn't really sympathise with him because he's so naive. Like, he's painfully naive.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, he was good and he was kind of funny and he was a bit dopey and it was quite cute, but ultimately I thought the side characters were much more interesting.
I would generally agree, I think, actually, because Daiichi's okay, and like he has got stuff going on like in his development, like try to work towards the coexistence between monsters and humans, and his sort of personal quest to find out what happened to his parents, but none of that is really overly developed.
It's not really character traits, is it? It's more actually like just past history.
You're right, yeah.
That doesn't really make a person.
It's more backstory. Like we're more we're shown it very early on, as opposed to letting it develop naturally over the course of the series. So yeah, I totally agree with you on that. Actually,
I mean, he's just a bit dopey and a bit naive and just a bit like, what, me? You know. And I don't think he quite realizes the impact of his responsibilities.
Yeah.
Or maybe he does to too much of an extent. I don't know. But my standout character would honestly be Asuna. I think that's how you pronounce her name.
Uh-huh.
Maybe giving it too much of a Scottish dialect.
Asuna.
Asuna. Me. I thought she was the best character. I thought she had the most development. That or the lieutenant. I felt that she just felt natural, and that I think at the beginning of the show she started also quite naive and a bit like, I'm tough. She definitely had the capability to go, I'm a tough girl who likes shoes, and generally tough women are written that way. So, but she actually wasn't. She cared about the monsters. She was interested in their development. She nearly always single-handedly used the Van Sky Musketeer.
Yeah,
You don't really see someone using like women-wise. They don't really generally use vans. It's usually men. But for her single-handedly to use that, whereas it was usually the guys getting the little car.
Yeah. Like she uses this big cumbersome vehicle, this sort of big inelegant vehicle, and I agree.
But
with your points.
I felt like her attachment to Gamora and her relationship and everything, it really strengthened her as a character. I thought it brought out so many nice characteristics of being caring and devoted to a cause. I mean, but not being able to see the flaws of what she's doing.
Yeah.
I didn't word that very well.
No, I get what you mean, and like she is kind of like a more interesting character than Daiichi, and
Definitely.
maybe like the series would have worked better. I mean, I love the series, but maybe she would have been made a much more interesting protagonist, like if she'd become X.
That's true, but I feel like to be the protagonist, you do have to be a bit boring. I mean, you get to be the most exciting character.
That's true, yeah.
So you kind of need a really strong secondary character.
Yeah, but she's such a good character. Is it fair that she just holds up Daiichi?
I suppose, but she doesn't really, because she's always kind of like, where the fuck were you? Like, dude, I had to do this all myself again. And X helped me out. What the hell?
Where were you?
Like, I'm surprised he didn't get like fired.
Grieving over your parents again.
He's just holding Gamora like, no. No, but I'm surprised he didn't get like fired, because I mean they must have knew that he just kind of just disappeared, which is kind of a crappy thing to do.
Yeah, and only the TV crew noticed.
Yeah.
I've spoken about this already, but I really like Tachibana, who was the lieutenant or the vice captain. She was just such a sweet character, and really well portrayed as well. She's such a sweet character, and I liked that she was kind of a mother figure to the team, while not just being that. She could be stern when necessary, and like her priority in engaging in combat was no casualties.
Mm-hmm.
And I really liked that she lived. We've spoken about this already, but she lived away from her family for their own safety. Her family lives in Canada. Her husband and her 2 daughters, and like that's so sad. Like that's so sad.
Yeah, that she's that devoted to her work that she doesn't allow herself the privilege of being with her family.
Yeah, and like we often see her kind of Skyping with them and that sort of thing, and I really enjoyed seeing her develop. And I also really liked Captain Kamiki. I thought he was fun. Like, again,
I like their relationship, actually.
I thought in the early episodes they were kind of going to get together, but then it was revealed that obviously Tachibana has a husband and a family, and Kamiki had a wife and he has a daughter. And
But he was neglectful.
he was neglectful because he was too dedicated to the job. But he still walked his daughter down the aisle, or did he? Or
I don't know.
he got to the church late, but
I think
was
she
still...
felt. I think she felt bad for him.
Yeah, so she waited for him. But yeah, Kamiki was great. Like, if Tachibana is the mum of the team, he's definitely like the dad, and he's just like a kind of dad figure, like stern but kind of lovable. And I thought it was really funny when in the 24 Hours Inside Zeo episode, when they were interrogating an alien and no one could get anything out of the alien, he said, okay, just let me have a go. And like, he starts talking to the alien about his mum or something like that, and the alien is in tears and he gets the confession out of them.
Yeah, like, he knows how to work it. He's not going in like shouting and screaming. He's just like talking to them, which you would expect like anyone else but him to be like.
Maybe this is too easy a comparison because we've been also watching a lot of this show recently, but he's kind of like Captain Holt from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah, he is actually.
Imagine a Brooklyn Nine-Nine style show about an Ultraman defense team. I would love that.
That would be really
or
fun.
Just the cast of Brooklyn Nine-Nine as an Ultraman defense team.
That either one would be great. Either one.
Imagine like
one day
like Boyle piloting one of the planes.
Well, I was going to say one day Terry drinks a really bad yogurt and he becomes a giant kaiju, and the kaiju team have to like fight Terry Crews. It would be like an Old Spice
It would be like in his Old Spice adverts. Yeah, exactly.
It would be pretty great.
They have to fight Old Spice Terry Crews. Oh, anyway,
let's make a game. That would be really fun.
I really want to see Brooklyn Nine-Nine Ultraman style now. Oh well.
Send in your thoughts.
Pitch us your thoughts for our new series, Brooklyn Nine-Nine Ultraman. Or don't, because it's just a joke. Laura, stop derailing the podcast.
Okay, sorry.
So, Ultraman X, also, as we've discussed again previously, Ultraman X brought back a lot of older Ultramen, or previous Ultramen, for sort of guest roles, and we saw the returns of Ultraman Zero, Ultraman Max, Ultraman Ginga, Ultraman Victory, and Ultraman Nexus. And I've spoke about obviously Zero and Nexus and Max before already. We both have, but I thought it was really a joy to see these characters, and I know they don't mean much to you because you've not really seen much of their series, but like I really liked seeing X and Ginga and Victory fight together.
Yeah, I really like that too. I've actually wrote that down. I liked seeing, especially Ginga, more just because I recognise him. I know who he is. Not that the only monster I could really pick out was Corn on the Cob and Pigmon. So, like, it was really cool to go, yeah, I know who that is. Even if it wasn't the best series, it was still nice. Also, Ultra Touch. When
Sho and
I want to call him Daichi, but I know that's not his name.
God, what's the name of Ultraman Ginga's host? Sho is Ultraman Victory, but
isn't that kind of like an English name?
Ginga is I've totally forgotten, and that's really bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, when they combine to become Ultraman Ginga Victory, and they both do a front flip into each other. That is an homage to the transformation of Ultraman Ace, in which their two hosts front flip towards each other and touch rings. But I'm going to do it to you.
That's how you get in bed tonight.
Just a front flip into you and like bump your fist.
I will be so mad.
Ow! What is the name of Ginga's host? Laura?
I don't know. John.
John Ultraman.
Eric!
That's a Jurassic Park 3 reference.
Yeah, I know. A film I've never seen.
We'll do a future episode on it.
Yep.
This is the Kaijusaurus Podcast. That's kind of a running joke that Ross and I do.
I know. I listen to them all. So
right.
Don't explain
Wow.
it to me.
You're a guest on this podcast.
Oh, okay.
You're here to discuss Ultraman X.
What are you gonna do?
And not much else. I will have a word with your mother.
No, she won't understand what we're talking about.
That's true. Anyway, I liked seeing Victory and Ginga and X fight together.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool just because, like I said, I knew who they were and I hadn't seen Victory, but I liked him. He seemed like kind of a tough guy. He seemed like, you know, he was going to get Daichi in a bit more shape. Because, like, you know, like if you take Daichi to his characteristics...
Hikaru is Ginga's host.
I thought it was a more English name.
No.
But I think it's because he was born in London or something. He lived in London. He went to England for some reason, Ultraman Ginga.
Yeah, the character's meant to have... Hikaru's meant to have travelled.
Yeah.
But you were saying, sorry, about show training Daichi.
Like, Daichi, like, even down to his characteristics, he's a scientist who is essentially part of a very special armed unit.
Yeah.
Of course he's not going to know how to properly fight in an Ultraman suit.
Yeah, being
Ultraman,
yeah.
That's kind of important that he's actually getting taught to an extent.
Yeah, training from a fellow Ultraman.
Because if you take it, he's in the armed forces. I don't know so much about the armed forces, but I can't imagine you're trained properly how to fight, like fight, like boxing.
Oh right, yeah, like martial arts combat, that sort of thing. I wouldn't really know.
I wouldn't really know either.
No.
I'd assume you're shown how to use weapons and how
Yeah.
to defend yourself.
Well, yeah, no, but that's a good principle to apply to Daichi and his role, his sort of dual roles as a Zeo officer and as Ultraman X, because it's a really good point you've brought up actually, because how suited actually is he to being Ultraman? Because do you remember the first thing he does when he transforms into X for the first time?
Oh, he does not like it.
Yeah, he panics because he's up really high, or he perceives himself to be up really high, and he's scared of heights.
Yeah.
And we get that really great shot that's sort of like a ultra vision, and he's going, I'm up too high, and you just get that really funny shot of like X steadying himself against
It's
the
like
building.
he's really drunk.
Yeah, it's like he's really drunk, going, oh, I'm just going to sit down here for a second. And I mean, that was really funny as well. That's something.
It would have been better if he took his high heels off.
And just carried them in his hand.
Carried them like, oh, I can't do it anymore.
But anyway, like, that's something we haven't seen in any Ultra series before, is sort of the...
Really?
Yeah, it's like a host being
I think that's
unsuited to being an Ultraman.
I think that's maybe more of an American thing, especially when you think of, like, say, Spider-Man, when he kind of gets his powers.
Yeah, you have the kind of training montage where he
him.
bucks up a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, no.
Oh, no! Actual dialogue.
Yep.
Spider-Man script, Sam Raimi,
Yep.
2001.
That's obviously the one I was referencing.
So yeah, it was really fun to see all these guest Ultraman. I've not forgotten any, have I? The guest Ultraman were Zero, Max, Ginga, Victory, and Nexus. There wasn't any more, was there?
I don't think no.
No.
I don't think so.
There is going to be more in the movie, but we'll discuss that later. And at a later date.
After
So
dark.
let's welcome to the Kaijusaurus Podcast After Dark.
It is after
This
dark.
is when we can swear. Bum.
Boom.
Let's move on. We'll just move on to more of a sort of general discussion now. Like, was there any sort of standout special effects scenes for you? I know what you're going to say, I think. And, you know, I'll let you say it.
What do you think I'm going to say?
I think you are going to mention Exceed X and his X-Lugger using Exceed X /. I read that like a Cluedo prediction. It was Exceed X with the X-Lugger using Exceed X /. That was a very bright and colourful attack.
Well, you put it much more formally than I did. I have put smiley face, rainbow suit. That was intense. The next thing I've wrote near that is just epilepsy.
Well, I mean, there were...
I'm not gonna lie, I got a headache watching some of those episodes.
Like, yeah, there were rumours. The Simpsons did a gag about it, remember? There were rumours in the late 90s of Japanese TV shows causing seizures among kids because of their bright colours and flashing imagery. And if the Exceed X / is anything to go by, I can buy that.
Yeah, I can buy that as well because that was intense.
But yeah, so to contextualise this part of the discussion, about halfway through the series, through circumstances which it's not really worth going into, X receives a power-up form which he can transform into using the X lugger, which is sort of a piece of headgear that can attach and detach from his head crest.
Don't get me started on that bloody lugger.
We will get there. And it's sort of an homage to Ultra 7's Slugger, Ice Slugger I think it was called. The X Lugger can be used as a sort of melee weapon and attached to X's head crest to give additional powers. So yeah, Exceed X is X's new powered up form, and it's a new look, it's a new suit with more lights and a new colour scheme. I don't really like the design of Exceed X.
I do, but
Oh, really?
I like colours, so
See,
any colour is fine with me.
I don't think the really kind of muted shades of grey went with the sort of currents of multicolour that was running through it.
You are wrong.
That's it. That's objectively you are wrong. But
I can see why.
I think it was slight design overkill.
See, I liked it because I thought it was something really different that I don't think a lot of the other X-Men... I just saw X...
Well, you're certainly right there.
Yep, that's the new one.
Ultraman X, Days of Future Past.
Anyway, I thought it was cool because it makes him really, really stand out.
Yeah,
But-
it is a colour scheme I've not really seen among Ultramen before.
I can also see why. Don't like the X-Lugger for reasons. They just play the same footage again and again, and it bothers me so much.
Daiichi sensually running his finger up the colour.
It just, what does that do?
The gradient
you
level.
can clearly see it's a sticker. You can clearly see it's
Look,
a sticker.
kids, this is how you use the toy you're going to buy.
Yeah, that is pretty much it, and it's so frustrating.
Something about Exceed X and the X Lugger and the Exceed X / The Exceed X / is used to sort of calm down monsters that have been affected by Dark Thunder energy, which we'll discuss.
Which is slightly harsh.
Yeah, it's a bit harsh. It looks really sore.
Oh, yeah.
But we'll discuss Dark Thunder energy just after this. But Exceed X, my problem with Exceed X is that once it's introduced, I think it's used in every single episode from here on.
Yeah,
and it's used far too much. And we see the same transformation clip, and we see the same clip of Daiichi activating the X Lugger. Sometimes you get it once, sometimes you get it a full 3 times. If you're lucky, you get it the reverse order.
Yep.
Yeah, that's my problem with the Exceed X. I think the design is a tad overkill, and it's used far too much from the point it's introduced onwards.
Yeah, it is almost a bit like Pokemon, like, you know, the early Pokemon where he'd be like, Pikachu, go! And it would be like him throwing the ball or something, and it'd be like, right, come on.
We've seen this clip
We've seen
1,000
this.
times, literally, before. Yeah.
Let's actually see them go at it.
But that's...
I mean fighting!
No, I know you meant fighting. But not everyone did, so thank you for clarifying. That's a good opportunity to talk about Dark Thunder energy. So again, roughly about halfway through the series, this is the 2-parter with Victory and Ginga, I think. Demaga, the monster from the first episode, reappears as Tsurugi Demaga, and it's a sort of upgraded form. It's got sort of blades and swords all around it, and it's got 2 big
Extra arms.
extra horn arm things coming out its back. So it's basically an upgraded, more powerful, angrier form of a monster. And from this point on in the series, a lot of monsters get struck by this Dark Thunder energy, which sort of erupts from the sky and strikes any attacking monsters. Gomorrah gets struck by it and becomes EX Gomorrah, and Red King, who we previously mentioned, gets struck by it and becomes EX Red King with the sort of burnt corn.
Burnt corn.
Corn becomes burnt corn. Dark Thunder corn.
That's what I'm going to ask for next time
with
I'm
his
at a
big
barbecue.
beefy arms. I'll have some Red King, please. Sorry, what?
No, I
Corn.
mean, can I have Dark Thunder corn? I don't want to know what that is.
Well, we'll see if we have it. But,
It'll be through the back.
and like Gomez gets hit by it, and a lot of them, I think almost every monster from here on gets hit by the Dark Thunder energy. And I'm not sure how I feel about the whole Dark Thunder energy sort of thing, because some of the monsters that get hit by it get different suits, but some of the monsters that get hit by it just sort of get angry eyes. Prepare to meet Mr. Angry Eyes! No, but do you know what I mean, though? Like,
yeah, no, I definitely get
Gamora and Red King get sort of physical enhancements, and so does Damaga. But that's because in the case of Gamora and Red King, those suits already existed that were used in series previously as EX Red King and EX Gamora, excuse me. But for example, like Gasura and Gomez, and I think Gubira as well, all get hit by Dark Thunder energy too, and they don't get any sort of upgrades, they just get angrier.
Yeah.
And I think my biggest problem with Dark Thunder energy is that I didn't think it was that compelling a mystery.
No. It was just really annoying. It was kind of, again.
And there's no sort of X struggling, X and Daiichi really struggling to figure out how to overcome it. X just gets this upgrade, Exceed X, and uses the Exceed X slash, and that undoes the effects of Dark Thunder energy. And it's just like that, and it's not a very satisfying addition to the show.
No, I actually had kind of a tangent on that.
Go on.
I think that's really similar to the Zelda game, Twilight Princess. Steven sometimes watches me play Zelda. I'm not very good. But anyway, like, so
No
Link
comment.
has to defeat, like, the Twilight Realms.
Yeah.
And, like, it's like darkness is defeated by light, like literal light.
Yeah. Which is a recurring
like
theme in
when,
Ultraman as well.
Yeah, so when, you know, for example, like, Angry Gamora, I forgot.
Angry Gamora, yeah.
Angry
When
Gamora.
Gamora's hit by the Dark Thunder energy, yeah.
When he is, like, hit by Ultraman's Exceed slash, I mean, it's, you can see, like, the darkness coming out of it.
Yeah, like, physically.
Much like in Zelda, you saw, like, I don't know, the one that comes to mind is the big monkey that gets in, like, something dark comes out of it.
Yeah, it's not light and darkness as concepts. We're talking about literal physical embodiments of the light and the dark here, and the power, the sort of healing purification powers of light, physically being used to extract darkness.
Yeah, I suppose, like, Rainbow, that's kind of like light at its purest form.
Just giving these poor monsters epileptic fits.
Yeah, because when he kind of initiates the Exceed slash, you know, it's already bright and the monster kind of looks like, what the hell? I mean, what must that look like to onlookers? I would like to know. Like, without the effects. Like, what's he doing?
Yeah, because we actually only ever see that from the perspective of X, sort of inside this sort of tunnel of light, don't we? That's really funny. So yeah, we have sort of discussed this already, but were there any sort of standout things that didn't quite work for you about the show? I mean, we have discussed that... Steady though. We have discussed already, like, Exceed X didn't... Well, it worked, you liked it, but I didn't particularly like it. But so things that didn't really work for you, or didn't really gel.
For me, personally, my kind of least favourite what the hell is going on episode was that weird cat thing.
Did you not like that episode?
No, Space Cat Muchan.
Muchan, yeah.
It was a cat that came down, loved Ultraman, and then farted on him. Like, what the hell? But this episode also had the side story of Wataru's love thing.
His sort of love triangle.
Yeah, that came out of nowhere.
Yeah, he had a love triangle with Hayato, I think.
It was some really strange acting and some really strange, like, monologuing that didn't really quite fit. It didn't really need a monster. It didn't really need Ultraman.
That was the episode.
And it was really weird.
It also had Red King, right? Korn.
Yeah, Korn, because he didn't like the Space Cat either.
Yeah, and, like, although it was kind of distressing to just see a Red King beat the shit out of this defensive little...
I totally agree, but, like, what the hell? People who smell my farts forget who I am. Like,
we've all been there.
Like, how bad are you, Space Cat? Like, what did you eat? Did you eat, like, Mexican food? Like, what the hell? It was too weird. It was too, like, no, I can't buy this. I can't even pretend to understand what's going on. It was just a really strange episode that I didn't think fitted.
That's fair enough, because
all.
the Space Cats first appeared in an Ultraman Max episode in 2005, and that episode is kind of equally weird. And
Does it fart on people?
not that I recall, but it does make people forget. There's 3 Space Cats in that episode, and it literally makes like the entire defense team forget who they are. And when Kaito transforms into Ultraman Max, Max forgets who he is, and he forgets how to use any of his abilities. So he kind of
funny.
launches his slugger, but like he goes to launch it and he just drops it in the water in front of him. Like he's in the ocean at this point, and it's really funny. Like he just like kind of fishes around looking for it. But that episode's great because the only member of the group unaffected is Ellie, who's an android, because she's an artificial intelligence. She's not affected by it. So she has to.
I think I've seen this episode.
It's a really good one. I think Takashi Miike directed it, the Japanese film director.
But like, I mean,
yeah, sorry.
People remember who the cat is by the tears, and it was. I mean, I suppose you're supposed to get some sort of weird message of love out of it, but I didn't.
I certainly didn't. Something about the series that didn't work for me is that it continues a trend that recent Ultra series have been guilty of, for me personally, is overusing certain monsters. Bemstar, who was in episode 4, I think, it's the kind of fat bird, and it swallows.
Is that Birdon? Oh, okay, no.
Birdon was in the 3rd episode. Bemstar, no, Birdon was the one with the big balls in its face.
Big balls.
But you said it, big balls. But
well, it does.
Bemstar is the one that kind of swallows X, and they fight on the moon, and then it swallows
weird.
him into his stomach.
Yeah, that
Bemstar
weird.
has been so goddamn overused since it first came back in Ultraman Moebius 10 years ago. And I'm sick of it. Bemstar's not even that good a monster. The design is kind of uninspired, and they keep using the same goddamn suit. And I'm sure Bemstar also appeared in Ultraman Ginga S, and that was just in 2014. And I don't know. It was... Red King is also kind of overused. Red King keeps appearing. Red King appeared in Ultraman Ginga S. So did EX Red King, the powered up form. Gomora's slightly underused. He was certainly underused for a period of a few years where he was kind of the poster monster of the Ultraman franchise. He became a good guy monster for a few years.
Alright, okay.
But we've not seen him in a couple of years, I don't think, if I remember right. But... I know Tsuburaya Productions have kind of been having budget concerns and budget troubles in the past couple of years, and they've had a big buyover from Bandai, but it's distressing to me to see them just keep using the same monsters again and again, and the same suits again and again. But having said that, what Ultraman X does well for the most part is, yes, it uses these same suits again, but it finds interesting new stories to tell with them. Like you brought up Birdon there, which was the 3rd episode. Birdon has been used semi-regularly again since Ultraman Moebius in 2006, but this was a nesting Birdon. It was defending its young. It was a kind of new story we've not seen before with this monster. So I don't mind monsters being used again in that capacity. I'm just not interested in seeing the same ones again and again. Do you know what I mean?
Kind of like the Daleks.
Yeah, exactly like the Daleks in Doctor Who. Yeah.
Disclaimer: I don't like Doctor Who.
Yeah, but this isn't the Doctor Who cast, Laura.
Sorry.
But that was one of my problems I had with the series. But having said that, I did like that they brought back some monsters that haven't been seen in a good couple of years. Like Gasura hasn't been seen since the Super 8 Ultra Monsters, and Gomez I don't think has been seen since Mega Monster Battle, Ultra Galaxy, and Never Ending Odyssey.
That's quite the title.
That's quite the catchy title.
It's quite catchy.
No, I tell a lie. Gomez was in Ultraman Saga, but that was in 2012.
I keep thinking you're saying Gomez.
Gomez Adams, yeah.
Yeah.
Karamia. You know, like just Gomez kissing up X's arm and saying Karamia.
Yep.
There's an image.
Well, mate, he might have been the space cat. The space cat's name was Mu-chan, and I thought it was really cute that Rui, I think it was, kept insisting that you have to give this cat a title.
Yeah.
being Mew-chan.
Yeah, Rui, who was obsessed with possibly going on a date with Ellie King,
Let her date
who
him.
never appeared. It might happen in the film.
I wondered that because Ellie King is one that I've seen. I think I've said his name wrong.
No, you said it right, Ellie King. Yeah.
But I'm not gonna lie. Every time you've shown me who he is, I keep forgetting who he is.
Ellie King appeared...
Maybe that calf farted on me.
Ellie King appeared in Ultraman Ginga S in 2014, but it was a really crappy suit. There's a really good Ellie King suit that was made for Ultraman Max, but they never used it again, and instead they kind of replaced it with a suit that more resembled the original Ellie King. Like I'm showing Laura right now on the laptop. That's the original Ellie King, and that's the Ellie King that's appeared since 2007 onward.
Oh, that's it's. Oh.
It looks identical to the one used in the 60s. It's not.
Yeah.
It's just heavily modelled on it.
Oh, it
Whereas,
it
like,
looks used, but I think
that's the Ellie King from Ultraman Max.
Oh,
And I really like that one. I have a Bandai figure of that Ellie King, and it's maybe my favourite piece of Ultraman merchandise I own. But yeah, because Ellie King is my
not
favourite.
Pigman?
Pigman.
Not Pigmon.
But yeah, Ellie King's my favourite Ultraman kaiju, and I'd like Ellie King to appear. But I think a perfect way for Ellie King to appear with Rui would be with this little Ellie King you see here, which is it first appeared in Ultraman Mebius. It's a little sort of mascot Ellie King which can transform itself out of electricity, and
Sounds like. Oh no, that's kind of an. I was gonna say it's kind of an obscure reference, but there's a Lilo and Stitch film where like one of the experiments can like come out of electricity.
oh yeah,
Don't know why that came into my head.
or like the electricity gremlin in Gremlins 2. It's that same kind of principle that this little kind of chibi Ellie King can materialise itself out of any electricity port. But that would be a great way to
that would be cute.
have
Actually.
Rui meet
I would
Ellie
like
King.
that.
It's just like maybe like that high.
Obviously, this is
Yes, yeah.
speaking, so you can't
Yeah.
see how high that was. So I would say Steven said about 30 centimetres, maybe a bit more.
Maybe about a foot. In
That,
height.
how big do you think a foot is?
In a way. Okay, so
But
sorry.
Other things that I didn't think worked. Just Ultraman being forced into like an episode. The one with the mainly when it was the secondary characters development. So like the captain's daughter's wedding. Ultraman was not that necessary.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think it would have just been nice if Daichi took a backseat.
Yeah, because in that episode in particular, like if I remember right, the captain actually bonds with Cyber Gomorrah and uses Cyber Gomorrah to defend his daughter's wedding.
Mm. That said, Ultraman is still there, so I feel like it's almost like the reward is taken from him. It's not really, it's still the captain's story, but like also the rugby one. The rugby one's fun, it's silly, it's not even any of our secondary cast, it's actually Watura's brother who lives with these aliens that we haven't met, I don't assume so.
They're in previous series, but yeah.
But like minor characters.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
But it's a really fun episode, but yet Ultraman's still there to save the day, and I mean it's fine. I just feel it's rushed.
Yeah, but like, for example, the rugby episode.
It feels
we
so
are
rushed.
We are Nebula. Like at the end, the enemy aliens transform into giants just because they do.
Yeah,
Because we need Ultraman to show up. I think it would have been more interesting if, because in the past it's been shown.
If Team Nebula had just won and the other aliens accepted that.
Yeah, but what I was going to say, well, yeah, that as well actually. But what I was going to say is, it would have been also kind of fun and interesting if, say, it's been shown in previous series that Ultramen can also transform just human-sized, but still in their ultra forms. What if, like, and I'm going to draw a further Space Jam parallel here. Mine in Space Jam, when the Toon Squad are about to lose and it's got 30 seconds of the game to go, and Marvin the Martian approaches Michael Jordan and says, if you do not find another player, your team will forfeit the game. And that's when Bill Murray appears and goes, da 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 da.
Why didn't you know you were gonna...
It's time to slam, Laura.
Okay.
What if, like, a similar situation appeared in that rugby episode of Ultraman X, where
Alright, okay, that would have been really fun,
the
actually.
good aliens are about to lose the match, and like say one of their team is injured and they need another player. Daiichi transforms into X, remains human-sized, and plays on their team.
That would have been fun.
How great would that have been?
That would have been really fun. I feel like there are some episodes where Ultraman honestly wasn't as necessary as they made him out to be.
I totally agree.
I think he could have had some episodes where he could have just sat on the bench. But if I'm honest, this is a kids' show. They're gonna have him in every episode, being big.
Yeah, the show is called Ultraman X.
It's the same with Powerpuff Girls. If they didn't fight some sort of monster or bad guy, you feel slightly cheated, don't you?
Well, yeah, exactly. And I mean, I think it's a valid criticism. It's one that is present throughout almost the entire Ultraman franchise, which is just, this is a really, really interesting episode in the story, but it has to end with Ultraman fighting a giant monster or a giant alien.
Yeah.
Just by way of formula.
We can move on.
No, that's fine. I'm enjoying the discussion. I mean, I don't think I have anything to add to this part of the discussion in terms of things that I kind of wish the show had done that it didn't. I think I've already discussed those in... I mean, it's easy to say, like, I wish there was more new monsters and more new suits. But again, Tsuburaya Productions have had their budget problems and their money problems. And as much as Ultraman X is leagues ahead in that department as compared to where they were with Ultraman Ginga in 2013, it's still evident. It's still evident in the show. It's not the show's fault, so it's
That's it.
it's unfair to pick it for that.
The miniatures and the force perspective is really good.
Oh, the miniature effects are
They're
beautiful
really,
in this
really
series.
good.
Yeah. It's some of the best we've seen in years. Maybe I would actually maybe say that this series has the best miniature tokusatsu effects since Gamera the Brave. And that was in 2006. You've seen that film.
Oh, is that when he's a wee turtle?
That's when he's a wee baby, yeah.
Oh.
It's called Toto. But yeah, I am happy to say that. So yeah, moving on anyway. Here's a big point of conversation which I feel we'll probably have a lot to discuss. Were you satisfied with the way the show ended? Two-parter, Ultraman X's old enemy, Griza, reappears, and X's fight with Griza 15 years ago is revealed to be the cause of the Ultra Flares, which awakened the Spark Dolls and the monsters and caused so much calamity on Earth. Griza is back, causing calamity across the world, and is coming to Zio in Japan to steal the Spark Dolls and take their power and destroy the world. And the only thing that stands in Griza's way is X, Cyber Gomorrah, and Zio. What were your feelings on the finale and the way the show ended?
I didn't love it. I was satisfied, but I wouldn't say to like a great extent.
I reluctantly agree. Not to cut you off, but I'll just get this out of the way quickly and say, like, the word I would use is underwhelmed.
Yeah, I think I was underwhelmed. I think there were better fights and there were better two-parters within the series.
Yeah, like the Ginga and Victory one.
Or the one with the gold one. The gold one.
Yeah, with Teru from Planet Gold. That was a great two-parter, yeah.
But this one, I felt it kind of lacked a bit of a punch. Never heard of this monster. No inkling of who he is. He just, oh no, he's the worst one. So that was a bit like, oh, okay.
Yeah, like he's bad because we're told he's bad.
Yeah. Also, I feel like there was a whole series build up of, oh no, his parents. What happened to them? I still don't know. I still honestly can tell you, I don't really know.
They still kind of died, but they heard Daichi from the future and sent back the X-Lugger.
Yeah, but like,
what really happened?
What really happened? Like, are they dead?
I mean, it's difficult to talk about this, isn't it? Because I feel like the story isn't totally concluded until we see the movie.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like the movie is going to be the true series finale, but we are talking about the TV series here, and the TV series
is separate.
it's not entirely separate, but it has ended.
Mm.
And they can't assume that everyone's going to go and see the movie and then make the movie the finale or the conclusion.
I feel like there was a lot they could have done with the ending, but didn't. Like I said, there were better fights previous to this one, and
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe he was a little bit defeated too quickly.
Yeah, I mean, the finale did have all the hallmarks of a classic Ultraman finale, which is the Ultraman character, the title Ultraman, gets his ass royally kicked and appears to be dead and done for. To the extent that even in this, X's sort of X-shaped colour timer fell off. Another sort of trademark of Ultraman series finales is that usually the secret identity is revealed to the entire team, and that's always kind of satisfying. Like to see Zeo realize that Daiichi was X the whole time was really, that's always satisfying and it's fun.
To be fair, I feel like they really should have been able to guess that.
Well, see in the episode 5, the one with Ultraman Zero, when the Aegis shines, there's an implication that Dr. Gurman saw Daiichi transform into X, but they never do anything with that.
But doesn't he use Dr. Gurman's help later?
Later in the series.
So I think there's a little bond there between them.
Yeah, Dr. Gurman helps Daiichi go into cyberspace to save
it's
X.
never explicitly said.
Are we just to assume that Gurman knows how to keep his mouth shut? Or maybe Daiichi's threatened him.
I can't imagine.
Better keep your sweet little mouth shut,
I
Dr.
can't imagine
Gurman.
Daiichi ever threatening anyone.
Everything's gonna be fine.
But
yeah, like the finale, like the words I would use, like I said, is underwhelmed, and I enjoyed it enough, but I don't feel like it was the finale the show deserved. The show was great. I feel like I have been overly critical of it in this discussion, and I feel remiss having done that, because when all is said and done, I loved this series.
He did.
I think it's a magnificent return to form for the Ultraman series, and it paves the way for a very bright future indeed, like really getting the series back on track. I mean, Ultraman Ginga S was brilliant as well, I thought, but Ultraman X is even better. But this is not the finale the show deserved, and in a way I hope the movie does make up for that, because I didn't get the sense of Griza being that great a threat, like compared to what we'd seen in the series before.
I feel like if maybe he had been introduced, or not even introduced, or just kind of mentioned before, like even the sort of Gina Spectre, that was already hinted at before.
Yeah, the two-parter with Ginga and Victory.
That was already hinted at.
They're kind of fighting the Spectre.
Whereas this kind of was like, oh,
brothers.
Guys, this guy is really tough. He's kind of the worst one.
Yeah.
And that was it. And we were supposed to go, oh yeah, he is.
Oh, he is tough. Yeah, he's so hard right now.
So hard.
But yeah, the finale, while it did kind of leave me with a kind of warm, fuzzy feeling inside, as most Ultraman's finales do, I think my overall feeling of it is being underwhelmed, like I've said. I almost had a goddamn heart attack when it looked like Dr. Grumman had been killed.
Now you know how it feels when you told me Hagrid died at the end of Harry Potter. Yeah.
That was 5 years ago.
That was still hurtful. Was it 5 years? No, was it?
The last film came out in 2011, right? Oh, probably 4.5 years ago then. Anyway, yeah, I almost had a heart attack when I thought Dr. Gorman had died, and in such a horrible way. He got blasted away by debris and an explosion, and I thought, oh my god, he's been obliterated. But it's fine. He was okay. Actually, shit, I meant to say at the very start of this podcast, this is going to be spoiler heavy. I meant to put that disclaimer at the start. Sorry everyone, this has been a spoiler heavy podcast, so if you've been listening up to this point and haven't finished watching Ultraman X, try and erase it from your mind.
You just need to put it in the show notes.
I will put it everywhere in the show notes saying this is a spoiler heavy.
Or you could record it before.
You know what, that's probably what I will do. Just pretend I haven't said any of this and act like the announcement at the start was very natural.
Yes.
Which it clearly was.
Yes.
It was a good announcement, wasn't it? What did you think of the way I delivered it?
I thought I could hear me doing dishes in the background.
It's not as if we're in our kitchen right now.
No,
Anyway.
we're in our very expensive sound booth.
So yeah, any more feelings on the finale of Ultraman X?
No, I did really like it. I thought it was really cool. I really liked Asuna's kind of almost development in being, again, sort of this devoted. It was nice to. Right,
It was nice.
It was nice.
It was nice
to see,
Daichi.
yeah, for a change rather than the other way around. Well, or Ultraman X defeat
Yeah.
something. Defend her even.
Like, yeah, X and Daichi are both put out of commission, and it's up to Asuna to save them.
And that was really cool because I felt that she was most well developed, and it's nice to see a female in this sort of things. I'm gonna admit that. Usually it's quite rare.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, and it's particularly a problem in the Ultraman franchise. Like, there's been 27 TV series in the Ultraman franchise, and not a single one has been headlined by a woman.
That probably still won't be the case until next time.
I don't know if it'll ever be the case, but I certainly hope it will be. There have been female Ultras, but never as a star of a show.
Yeah, no, I know.
So yeah, I mean, I liked Grieza. I thought Grieza's design was kind of cool, and he was creepy, and like that kind of laugh, that kind of giggle.
Yeah, that was kind of creepy.
Was creepy, but overall, the finale was good, not great.
Yeah.
That's
I
my
would
feelings.
agree.
Yeah, I'm glad. Okay, our kind of last point of discussion we want to talk about here is, as I hope you know if you're listening to the podcast, in March we have an Ultraman X film coming out. Ultraman X, the movie, Here Comes Our Ultraman. And there is an English subtitled trailer out for it on Tsuburaya Productions' YouTube channel. I'll stick a link to it in the show notes. So, Laura, do you have any hopes for the film? Anything you'd like to see from the film? Any threads that maybe you feel were left off from the show you'd like to see wrapped up in the film?
I would like to know the deal with his parents. I kind of want to just see that resolved.
I feel like we're going to see that.
And if it's not resolved, or that's not the point of the film or whatever, then okay. But honestly, I would have just wrote a space adventure with other Ultramen, like that film that I've just put a question mark. The one that we watched with Ultraman Zero.
Ultraman Zero, the movie, The Revenge of Belial.
Yeah, I just want a space adventure that's fun and silly, and I love it.
Well, not to burst your bubble, but it looks like it's going to be pretty Earth focused.
Yeah, it's still spacey. I saw like parts of the moon.
That's true. Yeah, it does show the original Ultraman fighting against a whole horde of Baltan CG.
It looks fun. It looks fun.
The Baltans are kind of like the Daleks of the Ultraman franchise, but less overused.
Oh, okay.
And they're a lot of fun. Anyway, my kind of hopes for the movie is, like, I do kind of want to see resolution on Daiichi's parents. I feel like that's something we might get. I hope we get that.
Yeah.
Other things though, okay, like Ultraman Nexus is reappearing. Mm-hmm. Let Tachibana be the host again. Mm-hmm. That would be great. Like, I would honestly, I don't want to sound like an entitled fan when I say things like this, but I would feel a little bit cheated if Tachibana isn't Nexus again. Maybe that's not the best way of putting it. I just feel like it would be like a huge missed opportunity.
Yeah, definitely.
While a lot of previous Ultras are confirmed to be coming back, like the original Ultraman's coming back.
Where is Glenfire?
It'd be good if Glenfire showed up. Ultraman Zero's in it, so maybe we'll get a mention. But the original Ultraman is coming back, Ultraman Tiga's coming back, and all of the Ultramen that guest starred in X are coming back. So that's Max, Zero, Nexus, Victory, and Ginga. They're all coming back. It would be easy for the film to be bloated and overstuffed. What I'm hoping for is, while there are a lot of Ultramen in the film, I'm still hoping for it to be a very X-focused film. Mm-hmm. It should be X's film. Mm-hmm. I feel. Definitely. To give a real conclusion to the series and the series stories and the series characters.
It would be good to see Daichi become a bit more of a leader.
Yeah.
Rather than being kind of like, oh yeah, I'll help.
Yeah.
Be a bit more of a kind of focus.
And I mean, I don't know what's going to happen after the film. Who knows if Ultraman X will get a sequel series like Ultraman Ginga did, Ultraman Ginga S. Will we get Ultraman X S? I certainly hope so, but I kind of hope the film steers us towards something of a proper conclusion. That's my hope for the film. And of course I want Ryu to go on a date with Ellie King.
I know you do.
Yeah, we all do. I also hope for more...
Let's do a Kickstarter.
I also... help it happen.
Yeah.
I also hope for more Ultra selfies and another thumbs up from Gamora. Because the Gamora...
And lastly, Pigmon.
Well, that goes without saying, obviously. I mean, the thumbs up from Gamora was great, and we can now add it to the incredible legendary canon of great thumbs up in Tokusatsu, like Jaguar's thumbs up,
Yes.
and the thumbs up Godzilla gives in the Snickers adverts.
Oh yeah. I forget he's in there.
And there are many Ultraman thumbs up throughout the franchise's history. So, anything else about the film, or no? Is that you?
No, I think that's me.
Cool. Well, thank you for sticking with us through this discussion, but we're not done yet. Oh, we're not done yet. As always, we do have some... Oh, I say as always. That's taking it for granted, which we, of course, don't take any of our listeners for granted. We do have some listener submissions. I did ask on the Kaijusaurus blog for people to send in their opinions on Ultraman X, and we're going to read those out now. So, our first submission comes from Tumblr user, the Arcanite Force. Take it away, Laura.
I feel like if Ultraman X were to have more episodes / a continuation, much like Ginga S, I would want the subplot to focus more on Zo's... I don't like that. How do you say it again? Zeo.
Yeah.
Zo's trying
Zeo.
to rematerialize much more of the monsters in hopes to form a kingship, much like with Gamora. This could allow for Daichi to come closer to realizing his dream, and maybe make some appearances by more friendly kaiju, such as the capsule monsters, retooled as spark dolls even.
Spark dolls. Yeah.
Also, perhaps an appearance by Cosmos, who tries to help Daichi.
Just a few things to explain in there, like for someone like you who's not overly well versed in the
Yes.
Ultraman franchise. The capsule monsters were 3 little monsters that were carried around by Dan Moriboshi, who is the host of Ultra 7.
I love it. Love it.
And they were literally little capsules that he could throw, and a monster would materialize from it.
Like Pokeballs.
That's apparently one of the leading inspirations for Pokemon.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that. That's
And
really cool.
the capsule monsters were Windam, Miklas, and I've forgotten the third one, but it's very much like a Triceratops, and they're all kind of cute-ish monsters.
Oh, I love it.
So yeah, I mean, I actually agree with the Arcanite Force, and I think especially the idea about the capsule monsters being used as spark dolls would be a good idea, because the capsule monsters were brought back in Ultraman Mebius as maquette monsters. Excuse me, and that was a really natural addition. So I think it would be a really fun idea to bring them back as spark dolls, have them as friendly monster allies to Zeo. And the third capsule monster used by Ultra 7, I've looked it up just now, was Agira. So it was Agira, Windam, and Miklas were this capsule monsters used by Ultra 7. And Arcanite Force also mentions Ultraman Cosmos. Ultraman Cosmos was the star of the TV series Ultraman Cosmos. And he was a much more friendly Ultraman. He didn't really kill the monsters. He would try and calm them down. And much like kind of Daichi, would try and live in harmony with them. If they were on a rampage or something, he would just try and calm them down, and then they would sort of go off and live on a nice island. Which, again, Arcanite Force, I think, would actually be a very natural addition. So that would be cool. Yeah. So thank you very much.
It's actually a really interesting point as well, because I never actually thought of them maybe trying out other monsters, but when you think about it, why not? Why is it always Gamora?
Because Daiichi has a special bond and his parents left it behind.
Sorry.
That's pretty much it, though.
No, I do.
Yeah.
I know that, but I think that would... I think Arcanite Force is right.
Yeah.
It would be more interesting.
But no, that's the point I was making, though. Like, they don't really address
know,
that. Like Daiichi, they just assume that it has to be Gamora because
Yeah,
Daiichi...
no, I get that.
Yeah.
But it would be really cool if it was someone else. Like Pigmon.
That would be Garamon. Garamon is the giant monster version of Pigmon.
So Garamon. Either one would be
Garamon's
nice.
evil.
Why?
Anyway. Okay, so thank you, Arcanite Force. Good points made
You're
there.
a cool guy.
You're a
Or cool gal. Don't know.
You're a nice guy.
A nice guy.
Our next submission comes from Tumblr user Jaegerbomb Narcissism. Jägerbomb Narcissism, that's quite the name, isn't it? Jägerbomb Narcissism says, I will say that X, for the most part, is serendipity. The first 11 episodes were some of the most finely crafted half hours in the franchise's history, thanks in no small part to Kiyotaka Taguchi as the chief director. Regardless whoever directed the episodes, you can feel that this is the overall product of someone who has so much affection for the franchise and wants to take its established formula and characters into new areas. However, after the arrival of Exceed X, and we discussed this, Laura, the quality of each episode does take a dip, but by no means a nosedive. I'd agree there.
I'd agree there.
The new mode feels shoehorned in to a large degree in order to sell toys, especially with those lengthy shots of the X-Lugger.
Yes, you are right, Jägerbomb Narcissism.
Which we did discuss again. But it doesn't take a great deal away from the enjoyment of the show. Another gripe has to be the two-part finale with Griza, which kinda has more to do with the problems of hype rather than show quality. With the chief director on hand, I expected a balls-to-the-wall spectacle, but what I got was a slightly understated end to the series. Again, I agree, and I think you do.
Yeah, no, I agree.
This isn't bad in any way, especially after repeat watches, but it definitely felt at the time like a whimper that followed a mighty bang. That's well put, actually. However, with the film arriving the month after next, March, I feel like we'll be able to see the ending the show deserves. Ultimately, Ultraman X was a treat to watch and a reminder of why I love the Ultraman series as a whole. Yeah,
I think you should do the podcast with this guy. He is much more eloquent than me.
I agree with everything Jägerbomb Narcissism said there.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I am so with the X-Lugger lengthy shots. It's just, it feels patronising.
It gets ridiculous.
No. Like, I would just scream no at the TV when...
No!
I can!
Our next submission comes from Tumblr user Shadow Sword Master. And this is a shorter one. So Shadow Sword Master says...
The special effects and kaiju designs were well done in this series. Compared to other Ultraman series, the last major villain in the series is one of cool designs for a villain. And
that's it?
That's it.
Yeah.
That's...
short and to the point. Just the way we like it on the Kaijusaurus Podcast. Yeah.
Cutting it, getting it out there.
I agree, Shadow Sword Master.
I really loved it. I really liked all the special effects. I thought they were really cool.
Yeah.
Maybe
they were really cool.
Thumbs up.
I like them a lot.
Maybe the rainbow was overkill.
Yeah, I know. I'd agree
My
with
eyes
that.
hurt.
But thank you, Shadow Swords Master,
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for your submission. We also heard from my good friend Michael, aka Tumblr user Astounding Beyond Belief. In his submission, Michael writes, Ultraman X is a show that does pretty much everything right. Its first episode masters the traditional Ultraman plot. A monster appears, the defense team tries to stop it, the lead turns into Ultraman, and Ultraman slays the monster just before his energy reserves run out. But it's equally comfortable covering an intergalactic rugby match or telling its story through the lens of a sensationalist news crew. Likewise, both the digital and practical effects are superb, creating a very specific type of reality which matches the show's joyful tone and larger-than-life heroes. Michael continues, following the precedent set by Ultraman Ginga, X takes merchandising to a new level with the inclusion of Spark Dolls, vinyl toys which either aid the hero's transformation or can be transformed into kaiju through various means. It's a blatant cash grab for sure, agreed, reluctantly, but those toy sales have helped pull the franchise back from the brink, and frankly I love the idea of kaiju being transported by military convoys or sold in back alleys. Nice little opportunity for world building there. More unwieldy are X's various armours, in terms of both looks and mid-battle montages, and Exceed X, his most powerful form, makes some of the fights in the second half of the show formalities. Fortunately, the second half also has enough strong stories to compensate. Agreed there, Laura and I discussed that. Though Ultraman X is set in yet another alternate reality, the series' rich history and the premise of a long-standing kaiju war a la Pacific Rim combine to form a well-realised universe. Most of the kaiju are familiar faces, but the newcomers all distinguish themselves. There's Dimaga, the fire breather in the dinosaur dragon tradition, Rudian, a rotund robot with machine gun hands, Gargorgon, the Ultra series answer to King Ghidorah, Hulinga, the plant monster a town built a tourism industry around, and Griza, the seemingly invincible alien with a cackle that will haunt you for a week. Michael continues. As for the humans, the young cast handles themselves admirably, rolling with every absurd twist the show throws at them and acting like complete dorks in their downtime. For myself and many other fans, the breakout character was Rui Takeda, a genius scientist who wants nothing more in life than to go on a date with the kaiju Eleking. Tragically, the series left this plot thread dangling, but we've still got a movie coming in March. Indeed we do. Lieutenant Tachibana and Captain Kamiki also deserve a mention for a pair of more serious episodes focusing on how their kaiju fighting careers affect their families, with Tachibana also joining the extremely short list of female Ultra hosts in her episode. I discussed that earlier, that was a personal highlight for me. That was a little add-in from me, that's not in Michael's submission. Anyway, Michael continues, of course they've got families at Zeo as well. I have no doubt their troops have accidentally called them Mom and Dad at least once. Or if they were in the UK, Mum. Often the Ultra host gets overshadowed by his more colourful co-stars, but Daiichi Ozora is clearly the emotional core of the show. More of an analyst than a fighter, he's overwhelmed by the Ultraman routine at first, but soon realises that X's ability to turn kaiju into spark dolls could help him realise his dream, coexistence between humanity and monsters. It's a theme the show keeps returning to, always to great effect. Agreed. In closing, says Michael, I've watched a lot of Ultraman, though not close to all of it, and not only is X my favourite series so far, but Living Together is my favourite episode. It has everything you could want from a half-hour sci-fi show. Moral crises, mass destruction, men in suits wrestling, an omnipotent gorilla, and an awful lot of people who, like me, get very emotional over the fate of a giant monster. Michael, I could not have put it better myself. Thank you for that wonderful submission. And so yeah, thank you everyone for all of those submissions.
Really cool.
They were really, thank you. That's really cool of you to submit these. And Ultraman does ultimately still have a smaller audience than things like Godzilla and Gamera, certainly in the Western world anyway. So thank you for taking the time to write out these opinions and send them our way. It's always, as I always say with Ross, it's hugely appreciated to know people are listening to this and are engaging with us, and it makes what we do with the show worth it. So thank you from both of us.
Thank you from both of us.
Yeah, from both of us. Yeah. Thanks for coming. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Love to the kids. Anyway, so on that note, that brings the episode to a close. As usual, it certainly does, Laura.
It does.
As usual, we'll just sort of run through the usual way you can contact us, and as usual, again, all these links will be in the show notes. You can find the Kaijusaurus Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, and iTunes. Links to all of these will be in the show notes, including links to my Twitter. And Laura, do you wish to have a link to your Twitter put in the show notes?
Why not? I never use it.
You never use it, but you might after the soaring popularity of this episode.
Yes.
What
the
is
same way I got millions of Tumblr followers after this as well.
Laura made a Tumblr post that...
No, I was literally meaning after Mothra, but...
Oh right, I was going to say you made a Tumblr post that got over like 250,000 notes, didn't you? And it's all over BuzzFeed and stuff. We'll put a link to that in the show notes.
Why not?
No, we won't, because I don't need more notes. Anyway. So Laura's Twitter, should you wish to contact her via that, is...
Crimson Sloth.
We'll put a link to that in the show notes, and as always, my Twitter is Steven Scrivello. This podcast is hosted at SoundCloud. That's soundcloud.com/Kaijusaurus. Kaijusaurus.tumblr.com is the blog from which this podcast originates. And as usual, the show notes are always posted and found there, as are all the previous episodes.
You can contact me at Twitter, Crimson Sloth.
Yes.
Or I think my Instagram is the exact same name. If not, try putting 92 at the end. And my Tumblr is Pugs and Shrugs, who many of you sympathetically follow as Stephen's friends.
Yeah, I always toss you a sympathy like to any post
you've got to.
And there will be links to all of Laura's social media in the show notes as well. kaijusaurus@hotmail.co.uk should you wish to contact me. I am still taking submissions for the next episode, in which I will be joined again by Ross, and we will be reviewing...
I will not be here.
And it will be all the worse for it. Ross and I will be reviewing 1967's Son of Godzilla, so get your thoughts and opinions in for that. We've already got some, thanks to those who already submitted. Already got some pretty good ones. And
it's a shame that it's not Jet Jaguar's time. But
Jet Jaguar's time will come.
Soon.
Any closing thoughts on Ultraman X, or do you think we're wrapped up?
I think we're pretty wrapped up.
I think so, yeah. So as always, everyone, thank you so much for listening. This has been a real joy discussing this with you, my love.
Aw, thank you.
Thank you, everyone, and
Thank you.
goodbye.
Bye.